Hello my quilting friends, Leah Day here with another video for our Rainbow Star Quilt project. You can see I'm stitching a long, very long, wiggly line down through this light green section. And I'm just trying to move my hands as smoothly as I can. I'm going to come to a point, and now this is the easiest part because I can just echo. I'm going to form a very long vine line down through basically the middle of that green section. And now I'm echoing back, and I'm roughly keeping these lines about 1/4 of an inch apart. Again, I'm not going to pull out my ruler and measure it or anything. I'm just going to aim to keep them 1/4 inch apart, and then I'll come to a point at the end. Okay, so I'm going to stitch kind of a flamey fern design. So I'm going to wiggle off with a little wiggly flame-like shape, and then I'm going to come back to that vine line. I'll travel stitch up a bit and then wiggle off again, and this is kind of just a wiggly leaf shape. Kind of goes along with our little kind of flamey wiggly theme we've got going on so far, and I think that's really nice. It's kind of nice to take a texture or a shape that you've done earlier in the quilt and kind of use that shape again but in a different way somewhere else, and that helps to tie the quilt together. So let's talk through this design a little bit. We first form the vein line, the stem, and then now I'm wiggling off, and I'm kind of almost coming up to our straight lines that we quilted with our walking foot. I'm coming up to them and maybe hitting them, or sometimes you can also leave a gap. It really is up to you what you think looks good. So there I left a little bit more of a gap, and that's actually feels a little easier because you don't have to worry about hitting the line or overshooting it. So let's stick with that. Let's come up to it, but not anywhere close to it. I think that might be a little bit easier to stitch. As I wiggle, it's just a gentle movement of my hands, just pushing the quilt forward. And then as I wiggle back, it's more of an echo. And echoing is just stitching basically a set distance away from your first line. And it's a little bit easier because it's almost like you've got something to go off of, a little bit of a baseline, something to look at as you're stitching back to your vein line. So as you stitch through the diamond, the space is going to become wider. You're going to get more and more area to quilt into, and you can rotate your quilt around if that feels more comfortable for you. You could start adding maybe a little bit of a spiral. Here I'll kind of curl into a little bit more of a spiral shape, and that's definitely open to you and a lot of fun to add that extra texture to the design. And I can kind of tuck up this little leaf shape into that space created by the one before it. So as you can see, this design flows really quickly. Our last design, Lemonade, was a lot more slower because it was a lot slower mostly because of all the travel stitching. This design, we only have that little bit of travel stitching, and so it's a lot easier and it flows faster through the quilt. Now we've got this space here at the tip. What do we do with that space? Well, I'm just going to bounce back and forth off the tip of the stem, wiggle into this area, and fill it in back and forth with our wiggly flame shapes. Just wiggle in, wiggle back out, until I feel like, okay, that's enough in that area. There's really no right or wrong way of doing it. And then I'll start travel stitching back along the vine line back to our starting point. So it really is a very flowing, very fluid design. It fills, as you can see, it fills a large amount of space very, very quickly. So this should be no problem. Definitely give this one a try. Quilt this into the lighter green sections of your Rainbow Star quilt, and definitely share a picture with me so I can see it. So that's it for this video. If you'd like to join in the fun, click right here to download this free quilt pattern at leahday.com. We're going to be sharing new machine quilting videos on this project every day this week. So make sure to tune in and check out all of the videos. Make sure to like them and share them with your friends. And you'll definitely learn more about piecing, walking foot quilting, and free motion quilting with this fun project. So check it out at leahday.com/rainbow. And until next time, let's go quilt.